Well, welcome back to the Brand Ambassador series. France it is. And with Pereven, this is cognac, not just any cognac, Hine Cognac, the wonderful house of Hine. Pereven, it's very nice to have you here.
Pleasure to meet you.
Everybody knows Hine because everybody's grandfather was drinking Hine, everybody's father was drinking Hine, and everybody's trying to drink Hine. But you have to send Hine to all corners of the world.
Absolutely.
Therefore, they might not be able to find Hine everywhere. Yet, at least if they know about Hine, it's half of the consumption. So please tell us about it.
Well, to say it like it is, we're not closing any door, but you have to look for Hine in order to find it, as you just mentioned, actually.
Mm-hmm. Is Hine a fine wine drinker's take on cognac?
I would say definitely yes.
Why is that?
Because you have an approach to Hine when it comes to the aromatic profile that is putting as much as possible the value of the aromas in the wine up. Mm-hmm. As our cellar master Eric Forger says every day, you cannot make a good cognac if you don't have a good wine. Mm-hmm. And I mean, number one, a good cognac is a good wine.
What does that mean in the vineyard? What does that mean at the in the shade when you make the wine?
You're not looking for a wine that you're going to consume like that. Of course, I mean we are looking for a relatively high level of acidity and low level of alcohol, but we are looking for the right aromatic profile. The reason is quite clear. We're going to distill the wine afterwards. Mm-hmm. And distillation is a concentration of the aromas. So, and the concentration is by 9. So you need 9 liters of wine in order to make 1 liter of eau de vie that is going to be cognac afterwards. Mm. So when you concentrate by 9, you concentrate the bad aromas as well as the good aromas. And we at Hine, we do try to have the best wine as possible in order to get the finest aromas as possible. And that comes from the sourcing of the wine and where the wine is produced. And we focus at Hine exclusively on Grande and Petit Champagne. So really the two areas that produce the most delicate, the most refined wines for distillation, I would say.
Well, we have quite a few expressions of Hine.
Yeah.
Here today we have 3 of those. The VSOP, a very special homage, and a more traditional super exo level with the Antique, I'd say.
Yeah.
But there's no fin bois, there's no Borderies, it's just Petit and Grand Champagne, for all of them.
Petit and Grand Champagne exclusively, it's just a choice in terms of house style, you could say, that has been conducted since Hine was created, and that's, we are actually going to celebrate our 250th anniversary next year, so this is how has been done for the last centuries.
I was told that Hine is really the proper connoisseur, English connoisseurs cognac. Why is that?
Well, we have definitely a link with Great Britain for several reasons. One of them is that Thomas Hine, the founder, was from Dorset. So that's the first one. Mm-hmm. The second one is that we are the only cognac house to still produce early landed vintages. And that's vintages that are aged in Great Britain. Mm-hmm. I'll go a bit back to it later on.
That sounds interesting.
And I would say that one other link we have with Great Britain is that we've been the official supplier to Queen Elizabeth II since 1962. And we are the only cognac house to have this privilege. So we are very proud of.
Very good. Now, does that mean a lot of volume is going for royal consumption?
Not necessarily, but we have their approval.
So early landed, what does it mean?
Early landed is vintages that have been shipped at an early stage to Great Britain, traditionally in Bristol, for aging there. That's, you could say, a heritage from the British trading from the 18th, 19th century. Because, I mean, the Brits helped a lot for cognac, as for Bordeaux, in that period of the history. And I mean, the commerce of bottles only came in the 20th century. So before that, they shipped casks, stored it on their premises, and bottled that later on and sold it around the globe.
And there is a great difference between a cask that is maturing in Bristol and a cask that stays in there in Cognac or in Segonzac or
absolutely in Jarnac for us, yes. The thing is that when we produce vintages, and I mean it used to be more traditional in Cognac some tens of years ago or something like that. There are fewer houses that produce vintages today, but it's one of Hine's trademark, the vintage production, I would say. When we produce vintage, and this is only in really good years, when we find out that it is worth making it. We make vintage out of Grand Champagne eau de vie exclusively, and we age it for something between 20 and 25 years. Not more, for one reason, to keep the identity of the specific vintage. But when we make a vintage, after 1 year of aging, more or less in Jarnac, we split our vintage. We keep one part of the barrel on our premises in Jarnac, and the other part we ship to Great Britain in Bristol. And there is more than just a tradition. Even if we are still today the only cognac house to produce those early landed vintages, there is an impact on the spirit itself. There are in Bristol aging conditions that are very different from the ones we have in Charente. Simply enough, very low temperature all the year round and a very high level of humidity. And as for the wines, for instance, that results in a long, soft aging. Very simple. The air is saturated with water. So water is not coming out of the cask, it's the alcohol coming out of the cask. So you have less deposition of liquid, so less oxygen, less air in the cask, so less interaction with the cask. So actually you gain in soft, fresh aromas that you not necessarily can find in a regular vintage aged in Charente. And one specific aroma you can find in early landed vintages, it's the preserved candied orange peel, which is really something we don't really know where it comes from.
I love that.
But it's only in early landed vintage.
It's probably just their love for orange marmalade, and they probably stick some orange peel in there, don't you think?
Nothing to do with that, no.
Right.
It's really the climatic conditions.
Well, there's no early landed here. The quantities are just not huge, but we've got to taste some of that.
We'll have a taste of an early landed, even if it's not 100% early landed.
All right, let's.
And this is Hommage. Because of the scarcity of the production of early landed, it's difficult to have everybody taste it. What is interesting is that early landed is an expression of cognac that used to be quite common 100 years ago, which is not today, because today cognac has been, for most of the people, synonymous with a very powerful, very heavy drink. Very spicy. This style of, I would say, oak spice cognac is quite recent actually. It's maybe 30 years, 40 years. And I would say almost feminine style of Hine that you can find in the early landed is something more traditional, something that you would find 100, 200 years ago. So this is why early landed is specifically interesting, I think.
All right.
And the idea behind Hommage, it's in Hommage, tribute to the English style, you can say, for all the reasons I've mentioned.